Do you know the secrets behind baking or broiling fish just the way you like it?
No, I don't know the
don't?
secrets.
I don't either,
Thank
for that
goodness
matter.
Chef Bill Collins from chefbill.com is here to share his chef secrets with us. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here. And actually, one of the great things about fish is people are afraid of it. And so that's why we can dispel that today. Because people either undercook or overcook their fish. They usually overcook it because they cook it like it's chicken. And chicken cooks for a lot longer. And here's one rule of thumb, or one rule of fish, that you really want to keep understand. And that is, no matter how you're cooking it, if you're broiling it, if you're grilling it, if you're baking it, or even if you're poaching it in water or other liquid, you want to cook it for 10 minutes for every inch of thickness of the fish. So if you've got flounder, it cooks very quickly. If you've got swordfish steak, like an inch thick, you know it's going to be about 10 minutes.
So today we have salmon.
We have salmon, and we've got cod.
Okay.
See, those are the same thing, so I just kind of, they collided in my brain. So,
Scrod cod.
So this we might want to cook for a little under 10 minutes.
This is going to go for about 7.5 minutes.
Okay, and whereas this, the salmon...
We'll go for the full 10.
10, okay.
And so the salmon we're going to broil, and the cod we're going to bake. So why don't we talk about the salmon first? And a couple of things. Now, you see I've got this set up here. There are all kinds of broiling racks people use. I like to go actually very simple. Is I take a cooling rack, like you see, which you cool your cakes on, and I just put it in a sheet pan and a little foil underneath. The foil helps with cleaning. Now, one thing when you're cooking, especially a fish with the skin on top, when you broil, you do turn the fish over halfway through because you've got the heat source just on the top. But you want to start it skin side up. And that's the reason you do that is when you turn it over, if it does tend to stick a little bit to the rack, which you can do from the high heat, you only lose a bit of skin. You don't tear up the top of the fish.
Okay.
So that's more of an aesthetic thing and a nicer way to look at it. But the thing is about broiling is a lot of people never ever use their broiler. They just don't think of it. And I like to think of it as your inside grill, but the heat is up and not underneath like you're grilling outside. It's high heat. So when you cook your fish in the oven, fish is kind of delicate. It's not a steak. And so you want to put it on the second level down in the oven.
So you don't want to broil right, 2 inches away from the heat.
No, because then you're going to need the dental charts to identify it'll be so overcooked. So what you want to do...
That's really funny.
So thank you. So what you want to do is start with the second level down, and it'll still be very high heat. Because if you were grilling, they would say do it over a medium hot heat. So that's one way of looking at it. So now, all I've done is, I like my fish very simple, and you can add anything you want to it. You can marinate it, but I like to do just a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. So this is ready to go into the oven. And so what I do is I set my timer for 5 minutes, and then turn it over after 5 minutes. So here, as you see in the oven, I've got this actually the second level up, and so that's just going to go in.
And it's not the highest level possible.
Not the highest level possible, because that would have it right up there close to it. So that's ready to go. And also, as with broiling, you leave the door open a little bit.
You really?
You really do.
I didn't know
some
that
you don't do, because all of these, all the heat and smoke can build up. So it's a matter of venting it, because it is such a high heat with the food source so close to it.
I always do, and then I burn my eyebrows off every time I take it out to check
And that's
on
why
it.
you don't want to broil. That's why probably people don't broil, because they're afraid of it.
Now, some new stoves, and they say in the direction that you broil with the oven closed. That's just because they're vented inside. They're built differently. But the vast majority, you also have it open. Now, another thing, especially with some of the new ones, is you don't broil with the door open, because you got so many electronics there, you can burn up and kill the electronics. So look at your directions.
Read your owner's manual.
And that way you can know which way your stove goes.
Now let's bake some fish.
Yeah,
Let's bake some fish. So now, this is what we call operator error, and I love this part of cooking, because usually I just roll the fish in some egg and then put it in some breadcrumbs. Well, my eggs are sitting in my refrigerator at home. So what would be a plan B? And that is, I just put on some olive oil, because that will also help with the browning, help with the coating, and then just roll around in these breadcrumbs. These breadcrumbs are regular breadcrumbs as well as panko, which are the crunchy Japanese breadcrumbs. And so that's going to give you a nice crunch as well as a nice coating.
So you mix the two together.
Mix the two together, and a little Parmesan cheese if you want, maybe some herbs if you feel like it. And so just kind of roll around like that.
What herbs would you suggest with fish? I never cook fish, so what would I use? What would go good with that?
We'll go all kinds of things. A little thyme, dried thyme, or fresh thyme. I think thyme and fish go together very well. Dill and fish especially go very well together. Personally, I think rosemary is a little bit bit too strong of a flavor, but those two go very well. Basil also works well. Oregano maybe a little strong, but again, it's whatever your personal preference is.
Now this doesn't go at the broiling temperature. This goes in. It does?
It does not. No, but it's going to go at a high temperature, 425 degrees. You can even go to 450 a little bit because you want it to cook, at a high temperature. Now, when you're baking, you don't have to turn it over. So that's going to go in because, as I said, 10 minutes for every inch of thickness. That might be about 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay. And because we don't have all that time.
Oh, look, we happen to have some fish right here.
And look at the beautiful lemon on there. Look at that.
Yep. So we've got both of these right here. Now, a lot of people, they still might be a little unsure because if they're not too sure of how fish goes, to see how it's cooked. What you can do, and there's no problem with this, no shame in this at all, is actually just separate it just a little bit and pull it apart.
Now, how would you know, though, if it's not fully cooked?
The word of the day is opaque. And that is, and here's how I like the fish, is that I like it just a little bit where you can almost, not quite see through it, but still it's not like a solid line of cooked through. It's a little bit opaque. So how would I use, it's so moist looking and a little shiny. So that's how I like my fish. Some people like it a little more done, but the secret is you want to keep it moist, and that's what the big difference is. So that's why I pull it apart. It'll still be a little bit warm. Maybe use a paring knife, and you can see how it's done. If it just pulls apart too much, it's a little bit dry. That meant you left it a little bit longer. But it just takes a little bit of practice. And also, this fits in well with the budget May because these are on sale. And so you can get seafood for $5, $6 a pound, and the portion, just like you have with meat, would be about 7 or maybe as much as 8 ounces per person. So right there, you're talking about $2.50, $3.
A great budget-friendly meal for your family. Thank you so much, Chef Bill. Your secrets are always helpful. They're helpful for me. I know they're helpful for our viewers. And Seth, too, right?
I love them. Are you kidding me? I take notes underneath the table, and you can tune in next week for even more Chef Secrets with Chef Bill. And for a copy of this recipe, just head to mymassappeal.com later today.